and welcome to our review of the DTM Season 2010. The season which comprised of 11 races in 6 countries, with a finale to be held in the Chinese metropolis of Shanghai for the very first time. This year's lineup was pretty similar to last year. The regulations had been frozen, so 9 Mercedes and 9 Audis. But there was one difference, and that was the tyre compound from Dunlop, and getting your head round that new tyre would prove absolutely crucial. Which of the manufacturers got it right? Yes, Shanghai was where it would all end, but it all started, as ever, in Hockenheim. Yeah, Hockenheim, the first race of the season on April the 25th, and here's a familiar face joining the DTM, a late-minute decision from David Coulthard. A year out after the end of his Formula One career, John Alesi, Mika Hakkinen and Ralf Schumacher have all moved from Formula One to end their seasons in the DTM, and it would be quite a tall order for David. He would be driving one of the older cars, one of the 08 machines, and he'd certainly enjoyed his testing. But when he got to race the DTM car, he found it was very difficult to switch from Formula One. In his debut, he finished in 13th place. Up front, though, at that first race, it was Gary Paffett in the orange and white Mercedes. There he is, going into the lead. Martin Tomczyk, bits of carbon fly. The first of many frustrations during 2010 for Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich. And look at this collision. Mario Engel there, bouncing off Oliver Jarvis.
Going into the hairpin, braked as normal, turned in, and I got contact from Mario Engel, and unfortunately broke my right front suspension, so it was the end of my race.
Then there was another disaster for Audi. Matthias Ekstrom, who was looking very strong, made a pit stop before the window actually opened, and that meant he was penalised.
Matthias had a good performance, there is no question on that, but unfortunately we called him 1 lap too early in for the pit stop, and if this call is done, you can't redo it anymore. It happens.
Schoolboy error there. Audi ran into trouble with their setup and struggling with those new tyres. Left rear puncture cost Martin Tomczyk a possible win and a big spin out. And then a second puncture also penalised him.
Unfortunately, I had a tyre failure, especially on a point at the track at the last corner where you have to carry the whole tyre around, and you knew already that the race will be gone for you.
Disappointment for Tomczyk. Mercedes appeared to have the race fully under control, especially as Alexandre Pomat in the blue Audi started struggling with tyre problems. There he is. The Audi drivers were ordered to ease off, so Mercedes pounced, thirsty for victory. Gary Paffett, who had won the final race of the previous season, was in control. Bit of team tactics going on.
Bruno got a better exit out of turn 2 towards the end, and I don't want to have a crash with a teammate for fighting for second place, because third is a great result in a year-old car. It's like a victory anyway.
Jamie Green there, Spengler started the season very well indeed.
I'm quite satisfied today with this result. I'm very satisfied actually. It's my best season start since I am in DTM, so I'm very happy.
So the DTM season opener at Hockenheim was a Mercedes exhibition. Paffett, Spengler, Green and Aresta. Perfect start for Gary Paffett.
Last year, I didn't finish the first race. I got no points, so it's a much better start than last year, and hopefully we can go on and fight for more race wins and the championship, hopefully.
So the trophies are handed out, but it all started so well for Gary Paffett. New venue for round 2 of the series, Valencia in Spain. And this was a good result for Matthias Ekstrom. There he is, celebrating. So it was Mercedes-Benz 1, Audi 1.
In the end, to have a break for 1.5 years with no victory, and then it's really nice to get one.
It was a comfortable lights-to-flag triumph for Ekstrom, prompting good celebrations on the Audi pit wall. The disaster in Hockenheim was already forgotten, and maybe the tyre problem's fixed, or nearly fixed. A big problem, though, for Martin Tomczyk, finished second, but a very small error in the paperwork meant that he was subsequently disqualified. Spanish Audi fans had plenty to celebrate in Valencia. Rookie driver Miguel Molina for Audi was a PR hit with the crowds, but also was very fast too. There's Molina with Paffett.
Yeah, it was fight. Yeah, I think it was a good fight, but a little bit contact. He touched me in the last lap, but anyway, it's race and we try to continue to this lane.
It wasn't the only moment of contact for Paffett. Shortly after the start, he had it coming together with Alexandre Premat in the blue Audi. And I think we can see that on board from the camera of Miguel Molina. There it is. So Gary Paffett won the opening race, but could do no better than 7th here. But it was all typical DTM action.
On the first lap, Alex Premat was pushing really hard and pushed me wide in a few corners and pushed me off the track, so it was pretty disappointing. I lost a few more places because of that. And then, yeah, I struggled with the balance of the car for the whole race, really. It was quite tough.
For sure, we had some contact, and even on the back straight, he just pushed me on the grass, and it was not his normal line. So for me, it's a bit tricky, but I think we have to see that on the video.
Yeah, Premat, the former Le Mans Endurance Series champion, tried everything he knew to get past Bruno Spengler. There he is, pushing really hard, but he just couldn't find a way round. There is Ekstrom with Tomczyk right behind him. So Ekstrom was the winner from Bruno Spengler, with Alexandre Premat classified in 3rd place.
We have then a strong team effort seen. We have seen quite some Audis in the top 10, and therefore I'm quite happy that we could recover after the not so easy race in Hockenheim.
Confirmation there of the result. Ekstrom from Spengler, but Spengler was in the lead of the championship. There's Ekstrom, and there's Spengler.
Leading the championship after 2 races. This never happened to me after 2 races, because I was always quite unlucky in the first 2 races of the DTM championships. But now it's a quite nice feeling, but it's still a very long championship, so I'm just going to concentrate 200% for race after race, and then we see where we are at the end.
2 races down, but still 9 to go. The champagne sprayed on the podium. There was a bumper crowd of almost 80,000 people at the Euro Speedway Lausitzring, and we saw a thrilling 3rd race of the season, although there was this multi-car pile-up in turn 5, which was destined to shape the course of the race. Premat, Scheider, Ekstrom and Coulthard all denied any realistic chance of winning. Premat parked up in the gravel afterwards, and there were a few angry words. Matthias Ekstrom retired after just 1 lap with severe damage to his car. There he is coming in. And fingers were being pointed at Premat for causing that incident.
3 Audis got out in 1 corner, which is not very good when you try to collect as many points as you can. So, I mean, racing keeps going. I mean, we had to look on the next race in Nürburgring and collect some important points there.
David Coulthard was also forced to retire in the yellow Deutsche Post Mercedes. The safety car guided the field around for 3 laps. at the restart. Paul di Resta in the white Mercedes had some very smart tactics, keeping the pace slow until the last minute, then jumping on the gas. Spengler, though, had worked out that plan. Jamie Green was in third place.
I had some trouble to get the tyres working at the restart. I didn't do a great job of anticipating the restart when the guys ahead of me went, so I was a bit far behind, which wasn't ideal, but other than that I had a good race.
The tall Scotsman Paul di Resta was pushing very hard indeed, pulling away from Bruno Spengler.
Racing's never boring, anything can happen, safety cars and whatever, so you never feel totally comfortable, but I was counting down the laps and the car was good to drive, so I was in a comfortable situation.
But then Paul made his second pit stop. Keep an eye out for the man on the left rear of the car. The rattle gun seizes up. Paul, an agonising 8 seconds in the pits. Almost an eternity in the DTM. Just a lap later, Bruno Spengler came in for his second stop. It was a very smooth service for him. Di Resta coming down the home straight, but Spengler rejoined ahead of him. That's racing.
I'm really very happy today for myself and for the team, and leading the championship with 9 points. This is also great, but I'm not going to think too much about this, and starting from tomorrow on, going to concentrate for Nürburgring, and then we see concentrate race by race, and then we see at the end of the year where we are.
The Canadian, benefiting from the misfortune of Paul di Resta, won the race at the Euro Speedway, his first victory in some 3 years. Di Resta second, Jamie Green in third, and Audi, well, their best driver was Mike Rockenfeller in fourth place. Celebrations from Mercedes boss Norbert Haug. Pure frustration for Audi. And the likeable French-Canadian was on the podium for the third time in 3 races. Yeah, the multilingual Spengler saying, I'm really delighted today. The last time I won was at the Nürburgring in 2007. I've returned to the podium today. I'm unbelievably pleased. I've got goosebumps thinking about it. And there his partner Franzi. And she was really happy because it was also her birthday. What a great gift from her partner. Bruno Spengler, the star at Euro Speedway Lausitz. The fascinating street race of the Nürburgring. And it could have been Ralf Schumacher's best day in the DTM thus far in 2.5 seasons. But it turned into a personal nightmare. Well, he had started from pole position, but he was judged to have jumped the start, had this drive-through penalty, which cost the 6 times Formula 1 Grand Prix winner any possibility of a maiden DTM victory. Let's look at that start. Look at Schumacher, went, well, just a fraction before the lights went out. It was said to be a jump start of just 0.3 of a second. But that didn't bother Jamie Green.
Ralph went a little bit too early before the lights went off. He moved and then stopped. I was tempted to go as well because he moved, but I managed to wait and then go when the lights went off.
Green was driving the car in which he won this race in both 08 and 09. He was going for the triple. Ekstrom made a late first stop.
Yeah, I mean, it's always nice when you do a good drive, and today I'm happy with my own performance, but still P2 is not what we were hoping for. I mean, we were here to going for the win, and finally we managed to come close within half a second in the end, but didn't really pay out in the end, so we could win the race.
Green wins from Ekstrom and Spengler, and the 132,000 crowd really enjoyed the afternoon's entertainment. Paul di Resta, though, went into a short spin after the start, and yet again Alexandre Premat was the man who seemed to be causing the accident.
when I asked Alex why you ran into the back of me, he said I just got too much pickup at the hairpin and couldn't stop and ran into the back of you. You know, it's quite disappointing when a driver says that to you. And no, he wasn't penalised in any way as of yet. You know, I think we need to go into the stewards because it's unacceptable. You know, his driving standards this year have been, you know, unbelievable, and he's cost a lot of people a lot of points.
Unhappy Paul di Resta. Championship points looked on the cards at one stage for David Coulthard in his 2-year-old Mercedes. The ex-Formula One ace showed something approaching rallying skills at times as he worked his way past Marcus Winkelhock at the Grundig bend. However, his joy on that very good overtaking manoeuvre was short-lived. Not much later, Martin Tomczyk made his move. There it goes, and Winkelhock reckoned he could take revenge on Coulthard at the same time. The clash actually caused David's door to start falling off. There it goes. And he was consigned to a 13th place finish. Hans-Jürgen Abt urged Ekstrom on with everything he had, but nothing could stop Mercedes claiming a victory at the Nürburgring for an 8th time in a row. Jamie Green registered a remarkable personal triumph, winning the race for a 3rd time.
Once Matthias got ahead of Bruno, he was slightly quicker than me and started to catch me, and that made the last 10 laps really, really tough.
In terms of the championship, Green and Ekstrom were now Bruno Spengler's chief rivals, although the Canadian was enjoying his best ever start to the DTM, only dropping 8 points in the first 4 races. The cars returned to race action some 5 weeks later at the Nürburgring. The German Sports University in Cologne. Prior to the race at the Nürburgring, Bruno Spengler and Mike Rockenfeller for Audi reported for a performance diagnostics test. Championship leader Spengler's fitness program focused on stamina and balance, with Rockenfeller concentrating on muscle tone and power. Closely observed by the sports science professionals, the pair worked out on a variety of equipment, with the results subject to computer analysis and evaluation.
It's really important because it's quite intense to do a race, especially in DTM, because it's really hot in the car, and you know, we reach 3G in the corner under braking as well. That means, yeah, you have to have a strong neck and a really good, you know, stomach muscles to really hold your position in the car. And that's why it's really important that you can push 100% throughout the whole race.
As far as the race was concerned, it was Matthias Ekstrom who started from the pole with Bruno Spengler on his left. But the start was a disaster for Ekstrom. Spengler shot past him in the very first turn. An attempt to brake late on the outside just made the situation worse for the Swede, who slid all the way back to 7th position. A disaster.
Yeah, I had a bad start off the line, then I braked for the first corner. I didn't get the gear down as I want, and then I locked the front wheel, and then it was a big mess. And then the first couple of corners, it was a bit wet and damp, and then I lost some more spots, so it was really bad. And then after this, we were also slow.
And it wasn't any better for David Coulthard. He initially stalled there, you see him right at the back, and then he drove his C-Class into the thick of an accident caused by Susie Stoddard. Eventually, the former Grand Prix ace battled his way back to 10th position.
Well, first of all, a bit embarrassing. I stalled at the start, so I was last going into the first corner, a long way behind everyone else, but there was an incident, and for some reason I followed the crash into the gravel, which was a bit silly.
The race ended right there for Susie Stoddard and indeed Marcus Winkelhock, who'd had a very bad start to his season. The Mercedes trio of Spengler, Green and di Resta led the field, followed by Timo Scheider, who was recovering from some personal problems at the start of the season. Green in the light blue Mercedes ran wide on the last turn, allowing di Resta to seize 2nd place. The next incident was a tangle between drivers in similar types of car, and this time it was Pramat and Oliver Jarvis. And maybe it was the fault of Jarvis. Just watch this. The two Audis clash. Pramat goes off.
I can only apologise to Alex and Team Phoenix for that. It was not intentional, and I was surprised actually what happened, but unfortunately these things happen in races.
The outstanding drive of the day came from Bruno Spengler with a supremely confident and controlled race to take the victory. De Resta and Paffett wrapped up a Mercedes 1-2-3.
I'm very, very happy about the race today. I mean, it's a very special victory for me and also for the team, as you said, because it's number 100, victory number 100 since the new DTM, since we were racing against Audi. So I'm very happy that I got that for Mercedes. Makes me very proud.
So, 4 Mercedes drivers now holding the top 4 spots in the standing. And that was a real headache for Audi. By contrast, there were few headaches for Mercedes. They would only be caused by the celebrations. Next stop, Zandvoort in Holland. And the trophy held high by Spengler, pulling away at the head of the table. The 08 and 09 DTM champion Timo Scheider started from pole in Zandvoort, but his start was catastrophic. A Mercedes once again took full advantage of an Audi problem. Scheider dropped all the way back to 10th place, and it was a horrible sense of deja vu for the Audi crew. The same fate had befallen Matthias Ekstrom at the Nürburgring, and he there of course had thrown away any chance of victory. And Scheider normally makes brilliant getaways. What had gone wrong?
The start was definitely my mistake, and it was just my fault, nothing mechanical or technical wise.
First chinks in the championship hopes of Bruno Spengler. Started from 7th and got involved with a number of the Audis. Audi's pit stop strategy seemed mainly designed to prevent Spengler extending his lead in the championship. Spengler only just escaped a trap as Scheider came in for his first stop, and Molina held him up.
Audi did a great strategy to avoid me to come to the front because I was quite quicker than all these guys.
A few laps from the end, the championship leader made his move. Audi man Rockenfeller left the tiniest of gaps, but there was no way it could work out without some contact. Rockenfeller barged off the track. The way I saw it from inside the car was quite clear-cut. I drove defensively in turn 8. It was tight on the inside. There might have been room for half a car. I turned in, and I was certain Bruno couldn't get alongside me because there just wasn't room. I was hit at the back, and I went into a spin just before turning in. I think the situation was relatively clear-cut. The stewards saw it as a normal racing incident, a decision not accepted gracefully by everyone. Gary Paffett took the victory from Paul de Resta. It was Paffett's 2nd win of the year, Mercedes 5th in 6 races.
No, it's never boring when you win. You know, there's always small feelings you have with the car, vibrations, things that happen, so they keep you on your toes, and you've got to keep focused. You can't relax too much. You know, if you relax too much, you make a mistake and you go off. So you have to be concentrated the whole time. But I didn't have too much to do other than drive around.
Despite his terrible start, Timo Scheider showed he was really back in the speed. He finished 3rd, his best result of the season. 6 races gone, but only one Audi there in the top 5. Mercedes were dominating the series as everybody got ready for quite a summer break and then off to Brands Hatch. Well, at Brands Hatch, 2 mates together. Martin Brundle got to drive David Coulthard's DTM car. Quite a bit of pressure on the former Grand Prix ace.
To be honest, that was a lot of pressure at a DTM event with David Coulthard sitting beside me. Never been in the car in my life. Cold tyres, cold brakes. This track is so small and so technical. That's quite a lot of pressure, a lot to ask.
But of course, the 51-year-old has a lot of success with a roof over his head. He won Le Mans for the Silk-Cut Jaguar team in the past and seemed to enjoy driving a DTM machine.
We've driven each other in some 2-seater Formula 1 cars in the past, so I trust Martin. He's got a lot of experience. When you go out cold car, you don't know the car, you know, you switch it on and, you know, where is everything? So it takes more than the few laps he's done to get settled.
Just listening to David, we often travel together we work for BBC in F1, and he's always so enthusiastic, and it has really got me going and given me the bug again.
Victory in England went to another Scotsman, Paul di Resta. His season was really kicking off. Spengler finished second, defending his lead in the standings. But di Resta's first win of the season by 7.5 seconds was sensational. Spengler second, Timo Scheider in third place. But young Paul was certainly in a class of his own around the short Brands Hatch track.
When you've got the car behind you, you're able to manage this, and it's something I had today, and I must thank them extremely very much for giving me that car.
Championship leader Bruno Spengler is no fan of the short, twisty Brands circuit, but his strategy was excellent. That's how he managed to come out in front of Scheider after completing his second pit stop. Defending champion on the black Audi was in before Spengler on both occasions, but he was never able to make his fresh tyres really count. Scheider, after Ekstrom's retirement, the only remaining Audi driver with any real chance of influencing the outcome in the championship. David Coulthard ultimately finished in 12th place. He needn't have bothered with this overtaking manoeuvre over the luckless Marcus Winkelhock, although his lap times pointed to a much better result. The good work was undone by a jump start, prompting a spot of humour from the Scot.
I was ready to go, so I don't understand why the rest of the grid weren't, but I felt the clutch start to really bite, and I think I would have stalled the engine if I'd tried to hold it, so I let go of the clutch and hoped that the lights would change at the same time. It didn't happen, so obviously sorry for my mistake.
But the day had most certainly belonged to a younger Scot, Paul di Resta. There he is, taking the checkered flag for his first victory of the year.
We've come very close on a number of occasions to scoring a win, but thankfully today we got it done, and I suppose the main focus is we got a lot of points and closed the gap again to the championship lead.
Paul di Resta had taken 9 points off Bruno Spengler. Matthias Ekstrom failed to finish, so Brands Hatch effectively knocked him out of contention for the title. On then to the motorsport arena, Oschersleben. Yeah, Paul di Resta was really on a roll. Came into this race with 2 seconds and a victory. Victory looked certain here until again he had a problem with a pit stop. There he is, blasting out. Jarvis coming by. There is Spengler out in front of him. But then Paul drove a masterful race and was able to repass Spengler.
It's difficult to lose a position when you have a comfortable lead when you come in. But I suppose looking at it, we were able to regain the position. The guys are trying to do the best job possible.
That problem was at the first stop. This was the second spot. It went much smoother. And he got out into clean air and really put in some quick lap times, which helped him towards the checkered flag.
When Bruno and Timo came into pits, we decided to stay out, extended the stint. We were able to run great times, and you know, I'm sure the mistake that was made, you know, they gave me a car that was good enough to do the times I could to retain that position. So yeah, we go on, we work as a team, we lose as a team. So and today we won as a team.
Another Mercedes victory, but it could have been different. Timo Scheider was in the lead after the second mandatory pit stop, with Spengler just behind him. But then Scheider's right rear tyre failed and Spengler sailed past. Scheider limped home to the pits. The first win of the season was in sight, but instead he finished in 11th place. The fastest lap of the race was little consolation to Audi. Debris got stuck in the tread and there was a slow puncture. The performance deteriorated for a few laps and then the reduced air pressure caused the tyre to explode, robbing Timo of the chance of victory. It was very disappointing. It was a good battle for third place between Ekstrom and Gary Paffett. But Ekstrom just didn't have quite enough speed in his car.
In the last stint I found out how to drive a little different to make the car drive better, but still P3 is okay. It's not fantastic, so we only have to analyze and improve for the next one.
Paffett might have had a better result had he not started down in a low 10th position, which he couldn't really explain. Here he is battling with Martin Tomczyk. All got a bit physical.
I think I've seen this at least once nearly every race, and no penalties have been given, so I find it quite strange and quite inconsistent.
Paffett again with fewer points than he would have liked, but Paul di Resta scored a maximum for that second race in a row. Spengler on the podium for the 7th time in 8 races. Ekstrom third place was no consolation for Audi. The championship was turning into a Spengler versus di Resta tussle, although Gary Paffett was still in with a slight chance.
I'm still happy of these 8 points today. It was very important, and we keep on fighting. I'm looking forward to the next races. We are leading the championship, and we'll push very hard to win this championship.
So 3 more races to go. Hockenheim, followed by Adria in Italy, and then Shanghai. It was going to be very tight indeed. A good news day at Hockenheim, the announcement that BMW would be back in the DTM in 2012. There's the outgoing BMW boss, Dr. Mario Tyson, making the announcement. For 2012, of course, there will be very different technical regulations.
Well, it's a fantastic day for us, I think for the fans as well. DTM is the platform in European touring car racing, and the prospect to have these cars running in Asia and in the US as well is just great. We are very excited about the decision, and we are really looking forward to a strong season 2012.
Yeah, but that's quite a way off. Everyone was focusing on this race. The black car of Timo Scheider on the pole, and followed at the start through the first turn by Mike Rockenfeller, then Paffett, Prema and di Resta. No trouble early on, but then there was a huge pile-up at the new shortcut, and it eliminated at least a third of the field. Bruno Spengler, 11th in qualifying. This was the incident. Cars going absolutely everywhere. Look at that, like a Dodgems track. Ralf Schumacher was out, so was David Coulthard. Following the restart, Timo Scheider led from Rockenfeller, Gary Paffett and Paul di Resta. Only 12 cars remaining. Ekstrom, bad luck again for the Swede. And he retired only 7 laps into the race with broken suspension. Gary Paffett, he was following a conservative strategy. He was the first of the leading drivers to pit. He was followed by Jamie Green, the best of the drivers in a year-old car. There was this incident here with Prema, and that was a drive-through penalty for Green. But it was even worse for Bruno Spengler. He was forced to park up the C-Class after 22 laps, some problems in the rear transmission of the car. And Paul di Resta was heading for a trio of victories. Excellent strategy, great speed. Here he comes in for his pit stop. Hopefully it will be nice and smooth. The Dunlops go on, and then Paul blasted away.
It's good that we managed to stay out that long. You know, people have difficulties keeping the tyres going. But today, as I said, the setup was good. We were quickest in warm-up this morning and managed to keep that momentum going into the race.
Paul di Resta made his second pit stop at the very last moment and rejoined right there ahead of Timo Scheider and Mike Rockenfeller. Scheider, champion for the past 2 years, simply could not find a way past the man who was really on a big roll.
He deserved it because they did a better job today, and I drove my own speed, my speed we had today with our car. And yeah, that's like it is. Still P2 is something okay and something nice in front of the German crowds.
So Paul di Resta scored 3 wins in a row, and the last time someone did that was back in 1993. It was Nicola Rorini, the Italian, in an Alfa Romeo. The fireworks exploded, and certainly Paul di Resta had exploded back into a chance of winning the championship. Adria, the penultimate round of the championship, situated some 60 kilometres to the south of Venice. The last time the DTM had visited the tricky track was some 7 years earlier. Gary Paffett, one of the few drivers who remembered it. Bruno Spengler started from second on the grid and roared into the lead, with Paul di Resta struggling back in 6th place. And matters worsened for the Scot on the first lap as a result of an attack by Mike Rockenfeller. There he spins off in the wet conditions. Suddenly, and a massive accident! That was Alexandre Premat. Amazingly, the Frenchman climbed out of that with just a sore neck. There you see it again, the car literally exploding. Work on the cars was permitted prior to the restart, which took some 20 minutes. Then Bruno Spengler took the lead from Gary Paffett and Jamie Green. But Timo Scheider, starting from way back in 15th, was on a charge. More problems for di Resta. Look underneath his car. Gary Paffett also had this rare spin. So Timo Scheider was in the lead, although he was yet to pit. There was another incident involving di Resta, who was attacked, there it is, by Miguel Molina. The Spaniard's suspension broke, and Paul had to crawl home. It was not a good day for the Scot. After his second stop, Gary Paffett rejoined ahead of Bruno Spengler, but behind Timo Scheider. And that's the way it finished. Paffett put himself back in with a championship chance. Timo Scheider, certainly the star of the day. But Paul di Resta, he limped home in 9th place. No championship points at all. As Timo Scheider celebrated, well, certainly it was back to advantage Bruno Spengler. So Audi had won only their second race of the season.
Starting from P15 and coming in first is an awesome feeling, definitely. It was quite emotional the last 2 laps when I saw it, and I thought that it's maybe possible to win the race. And I got the last lap information on my pit board, and then I saw the checkered flag, and it was an awesome feeling.
Well, tension was certainly running high, only 9 points covering the top 3 in the championship.
Well, it's close and it will go into the last race, but it's difficult when it's out, when it's not your mistake, and you know the officials really need to get a grip of what went on, because you know action needs taken.
Bruno Spengler went to Shanghai in China with his destiny in his own hands. It was quite a trip into the unknown, a brand new street circuit in Shanghai, this huge city of some 20 million people in China. There was a new local hero, Darrell O'Young, but he put it into the wall, and there was a massive shunt for Timo Scheider. And Bruno Spengler, he was having problems too.
I did a mistake in qualifying, which costed us for sure a top 5. I mean, I tried to brake a little bit later. We had a good pace. In qualifying, as always, you always try to find a few meters on braking.
Spengler then at the back. Paul di Resta, though, was on the pole. Fellow driver from Mercedes, Gary Paffett, was alongside him. It was looking good for di Resta. The start was something of an unusual affair because of all the accidents in qualifying. It was decided to actually start the race under the safety car. And you can see how narrow some sections of the track were. The race was also limited to a maximum of 1 hour. Finally, the green flags came out. The big showdown in Shanghai was go. But no incidents in the early laps. Di Resta in the lead. It was going well for him. Paffett second, Green third. Britain's 1, 2 and 3 in Mercedes-Benz. Then it was Timo Scheider. Paul di Resta, though, had another pit stop problem. Another jammed wrench. That lost him a couple of seconds or so, and it helped Gary Paffett into the lead of the race. Frankie Cheng, the Chinese regular in the series, he was given a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So Cheng would finish in 15th place, but had enjoyed his first year in the DTM. Oliver Jarvis, one of the few drivers to pull off a good overtaking manoeuvre on this very tricky surface. But then he got some tyre damage. Spengler was not anywhere near the points. The championship title was slipping away from him. It was going in the favour of Paul di Resta on this very bumpy track indeed. But it all finished like this. Rockenfeller and Susie Stoddard coming into contact, blocking the track. Spengler there to a halt, and indeed his championship hopes had gone right there. The race was stopped. It had run 75%, so it was full points, and that made Paul di Resta the 2010 DTM champion, and he certainly knew it. The team was celebrating. There, the final result: Paffett, di Resta, Scheider, Tomczyk and Molina. That's the top 5. And it was a good way to end the season for Gary Paffett.
It feels really good. I mean, winning a race in the DTM is pretty special anyway, but winning at such an amazing venue like this, on a circuit that's been problematic and dangerous and difficult all weekend, it's great to come out of the race as victor and in what in the end was a fairly comfortable race actually.
Paul di Resta absolutely overjoyed. There he is with girlfriend Laura, his first DTM championship crown after a tight and memorable season. Mercedes-Benz top of the pile for the first time in 4 years.
It was exceptional for us. If you are 1, 2, 3 after the last race, then it's just fantastic. Paul di Resta deserves it. He has more points. He's a very good champion.
Yeah, it's great. Fantastic feeling. One that I'm going to enjoy for a long time with my team, with my family, all the supporters that have been part of this journey to get in this championship. A lot of hard work this year went into it. We put up a massive fight from the midpoint after we got off to a bad start. But yeah, we'll just enjoy the moments and try and go through the night, hopefully not too messy.
And we expect Paul di Resta to have a full-time Formula One ride in 2011. But right now, he's the DTM champion 2010. Once again in 2010, the DTM had served up some of the best international racing available. It had been an excellent season. Gary Paffett starting the season well. Then it swung in the favour of Bruno Spengler. Then we had the strong run in the middle of the year. 2 seconds and then 3 first places, which put Paul di Resta at the top of the title. Then Suddenly, Spengler was back in the lead with one race to go, but ultimately the winner was Paul di Resta. From me, Andrew Marriott, it's goodbye until next season.
Worry about those questions about who I am.